So just to kind of summarize the typical positions, your governing documents, your bylaws usually outline the different types of positions. They might vary, but a majority of them are similar in that you have a president and a vice president. So the president is a spokesperson typically at the meeting. They're usually the meeting facilitator. They can appoint committees and they can call special meetings of the board or of the members. And then they're usually the signer on agreements. Those are usually the roles of the president. Doesn't mean other people on the board can't do those things. It's just typically when you look at your bylaws and it outlines the officer positions, that's usually the few things that specifically says that the president does these things. And the vice president just gets to be the person that fills in when the president can't do their job, right? Just a couple quick tips on what I've observed make an effective board president, for whatever it's worth. A collaborator, someone that is truly a leader, someone that involves the other 4 or 6 or 7, whatever may on your board, that identifies the quiet one and tries to pull out what's in their mind, right? A leader, a collaborator. And another effective board president, I think, is one that knows how to facilitate a meeting. Know when a debate is dead and call it to a vote. Or walk the line on when we've heard enough of the homeowner input and now we're ready to move on to make a decision, and do that delicately and diplomatically, right? I've found that those are the 2 kind of primary traits that I think are really important in a successful board president. Treasurer and secretary, the 2 officer positions that usually people are like drawing straws for. So the treasurer actually, technically by the language, has a whole lot of responsibility. So the treasurer is responsible for all of the monies, right? Everything that's coming in, that's going out. Technically, they're the ones that are supposed to create the budget, prepare the work orders, prepare audits, right? But again, those things are delegated to the management company. So what then is a treasurer supposed to do with the management company? Really, your role as treasurer is a second set of eyes of oversight, right? So as you're pulling reports on the web portal, or as your manager is providing you with financial reports going into a board meeting, be the one that's looking those over and raising questions. And another thing that is becoming more and more important, I think, Amy will appreciate this one, investment of reserves, right? Because CDs are finally starting to actually generate some return, right? I mean, we had like a decade right there where it was just like nothing was happening. So I would encourage treasurers out there to start looking at that. The money is just sitting there, and it's not your manager's job, and it's not Sharper's job to direct that. You need to direct that, and we'll do it. We're not financial advisors, though. So be thinking about that if you're a treasurer and you're looking at where your reserve money is sitting. And then don't tell your manager that I'm the one that told him to get to work. But secretary, this is usually the one that no one wants, right? Because they think it's a big burden to take minutes. So essentially the primary role of the secretary, and unfortunately this is one that you can't delegate to management, is the taking of minutes, right? But technically the secretary is the keeper of the minutes. Technically they're the keeper of all records. They're the holder of the registrations for annual meetings, right? Those things we do for you. Typically your management company does for you. But the one kind of task that most secretaries have is the taking of the minutes, which I am going to go over in a minute, getting a little off topic on it, but hopefully you'll find it helpful. And then the last is member at large, is usually how it's defined. So this is usually a non-officer position, but again, that vote is no less than the president's, right? But just as you're looking at the organization of your board, those are your typical officer positions.